Hello everybody and welcome to Bright Weird. Interesting subject this one, because today we're going to be talking about one of the most renowned characters in all of alchemy. This is Zosimos of Panopolis. It is said that the oldest known alchemical volume was written by a chap called Zosimos of Panopolis in Greek and was entitled The Divine Art of Making Gold and Silver. It was written about 400 AD, but more on that shortly. Zosimos of Panopolis, also known as Zosimos the Alchemist, was a Greek historian who lived in the late 3rd or early 4th centuries AD, during the reign of the Emperor Constantine. He was born and raised in the city of Panopolis, which is located in modern-day Egypt. He is primarily known for his writings on alchemy, much of which was lost, and that which is known to remain was mainly preserved in a corpus of alchemical texts put together in Constantinople or Byzantium in the 7th or 8th centuries. Zosimos is believed to have been a mystic and a member of the Gnostic community, and his alchemical writings often incorporate Gnostic ideas and symbols. Alchemy was a field of study that was popular in Zosimos' time, and it has two aspects, the material and the spiritual. Zosimos was one of the few alchemists who wrote extensively about spiritual or philosophical alchemy, as opposed to purely practical or material alchemy, which we now call chemistry. Zosimos believed that the transformation of base metals into gold was in part a metaphor for the spiritual transformation of the individual, which involved purifying the soul and attaining a higher level of consciousness. He considered this transformation of the soul as essential to the practice of alchemy. He believed that alchemy was a way to connect with the divine, and that it required both practical skill and spiritual insight. One of his more famous works was entitled The Book of the Keys of Hermes. In this, Zosimos described a complex cosmology that incorporated ideas from Greek philosophy, Gnostic religion, and Egyptian mythology. He also wrote several works on the history of alchemy, including one piece which traced alchemy back to its roots in ancient Egypt. He believed that alchemy was a sacred art that had been handed down by the gods themselves, and that its ultimate goal was the attainment of spiritual enlightenment. Zosimos believed that the universe was made up of multiple layers or levels, each inhabited by different types of spirits or beings. Much of his work references many potent visions or dreams that he had, being granted to him by the gods in timeless dimensions beyond our own. In these dreams or visions, Zosimos was torn from life to death, the separation of the subtle from the gross, or the body from the spirit. Another of Zosimos' works was known as the Divine Art of Making Gold and Silver, and this is one of the most significant works of Zosimos. The text is considered a classic of alchemical literature and presents a detailed and complex account of the alchemical process, as well as its spiritual and metaphysical implications. The work is structured around a series of letters between Zosimos and his disciple Theosophy, in which the master imparts his wisdom and knowledge about the art of transmutation. Zosimos describes the process of transforming base metals into gold as a spiritual journey in which the alchemist must purify their soul and achieve a state of divine consciousness. This book, The Divine Art of Making Gold and Silver, also delves into the mythology and symbolism of alchemy, examining the roles of various allegorical figures, such as Hermes, the Philosopher's Stone, and the Sun and the Moon. Throughout the work of Zosimos, he stresses the importance of spiritual discipline and undertaking, as well as the quest for knowledge. The book was highly influential in its time, and it continued to inspire alchemists and spiritual seekers throughout the centuries. Its teachings on the inherent interconnectedness of all things, the nature of the divine, and the importance of personal transformation remain relevant today and continue to resonate with those seeking greater insight. and understanding. In addition to his alchemical works, Zosimos was also known for his historical writings. He chronicled the rise of Christianity in Egypt and the conflict between the pagan and the monotheistic beliefs. His historical works were noted for their vivid descriptions of the religious culture and practices of ancient Egypt, which are often overshadowed by the more dominant Greco-Roman traditions. These historical works are also notable for their depiction of his time's social and political upheaval, including the decline of the Roman Empire and the rise of Christianity. Zosimos was well known for using allegorical language in his works, which made them difficult to read for some, but it also allowed for multiple layers of meaning and interpretation. His works demonstrate an intricate and complex worldview that draws on a range of traditions and influences to create an original synthesis of alchemy and spirituality. Zosimos' works also emphasise the importance of studying and understanding the natural world, particularly the properties of various substances and the ways in which they interact. Much of his works have been lost over time, but those surviving fragments provide valuable insights into the ancient practice of alchemy. Zosimos is often regarded as a transitional figure in the history of alchemy, as his works combine elements of the earlier Greek philosophy with the emerging spiritual and mystical traditions of the Mediterranean world. Despite his influence on later alchemists, Zosimos' works were largely forgotten for centuries after his death, and it wasn't until the Renaissance when they were rediscovered and studied by European scholars. There has been a renewed interest in Zosimos' writings and their relevance to modern understanding of alchemy, spirituality, and philosophy. In his life, Zosimos was very critical of the more dogmatic and rigid aspects of Christianity and saw it as a threat to the more mystical and open-minded traditions of the Mediterranean world. Having such a prolific writer and historian openly attack Christianity might have been considered a threat by the fledgling religion. This may have led to him being branded the Antichrist. Being painted thus seems a deep paradox, as through his pursuits he aimed to attain the very Christ spirit, just like Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Moses and Zoroaster may have done before him. He was less anti-Christ and more anti-Christian. Zosimos' emphasis on the importance of personal transformation and spiritual insight continues to resonate with those seeking deeper meaning and purpose in their lives. Academically, many scholars have studied Zosimos throughout the ages. More recently, the psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung was deeply influenced by the works of this learned voice from the past. Zosimos' ideas about the inherent interconnectedness of all things and the need for balance and harmony between opposing forces remain relevant today in a wide range of fields, including science, philosophy, and spirituality. Despite the challenges of interpreting his complex and allegorical writings, Zosimos' divine works continue to inspire a new generation of alchemists, spiritual seekers, and philosophers around the world. Well, I hope you enjoyed that insight into Zosimos of Panopolis. I'm Steve, this has been Bright Weird. Thanks for watching.